Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. I am Ross Morasso, and with my returning guest today that I'm always happy to have on, George Turnage, known by many as Papa Yatande. He is one of the leaders at the Peristyle Haitian Sanctuary out of Philadelphia. Good morning, Papa Yatande.
Good morning.
You know, I want to tell you, and I want everyone to hear this, I have a bit of a bone to pick with you because I've been looking at your website a little deeper, yatande.com.
Yeah.
Yes. And you have never mentioned anything about your music. It looks like you play, compose, write, produce for other people, and there are some amazing songs on there. Tell me about that.
I do. It's one of my passions. My mother started us out with my dad when we were all young, sitting around the piano, and they're teaching us stuff. My dad not only played piano and saxophone, but he also played the accordion, which I thought was one of the most incredible, that thing. And he would be rocking and playing that thing. So it's something that kind of grew up with us. Coming to Philadelphia, my mom moved us out of the South and to Maryland, and where we learned soul music and other kinds of things about jazz and things that we didn't know. And then we moved to Philadelphia in 1974. In 1974, we moved to North Philadelphia, in the heart of North Philadelphia.
Okay.
And we had never seen houses like that before. We had never seen the trash, the burned out buildings, the just everything that kind of sunk our hearts. My brother Herman, I have to give credit to, listening to the radio. We're trying to find a station in Philadelphia that we could listen to, and he discovered WRTI, which is at broadcast from Temple University. And we began listening to all kinds of jazz and began to discover folks like that. I've always had a passion then to play. And so we would, with our little instruments, Mom got us a couple of guitars to begin learning how to not only play and sing songs together. And while she played piano, we had a little ensemble going on. And the kids, the neighborhood kids who were gang related and who had never really done anything like that, began coming over to the house and falling in love with what they saw. They had never experienced anything like that, including the boys club up the street, just one block up on 9th. And we moved to 1557 North 9th Street. And at the end of the other block, going to Columbia Avenue at 9th, was the R.W. Brown Boys Club. So we began going there, learning theater, dance, and things like that. We always then wanted to write poetry and wanted to do some stuff like that. So as it began to evolve, I began to make what my brother, different ways to call it, just terrible music, but it's something that you have to keep at, you have to keep with. So I kept moving. I started meeting all kinds of musicians and singers and artists. And eventually I started, after spending years of my own and getting a studio together with recording instruments and stuff, music was changing rapidly. I mean, especially going into the hip hop generation and things like that. So getting to the listening ear of the people to make them want to hear what you were doing was kind of difficult, because it almost seems like every month there's some kind of change or some kind of development. So I just began to write what I felt. And I began to just, I knew I wanted to talk about love. I knew I wanted to talk about our social conditioning and things like that. So I began to put together music and poetry to music and began to relate certain things. And I finally found a cat named Scott Carter, who was a young progressive, had his own studio, and a lot of people were coming to him to get music done. And he just, he was a little younger. He was younger than I was, but he loved the fact of my interests and things like that. And so many musicians came. So when I did a song called when it wasn't the first song we did, but one of the songs I did called "Beating Hearts."
This is about when?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no timing. I mean, like
Oh,
when was it?
in 2000, God, what is it now? Is 2020? Is 23?
Yes, sir.
We're probably around 2000, 2017.
Okay, so about 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
we began to um, I began to write music in a different way, and reaching back for my jazz history and soul music and folk music, as well as the blues, because I love to play blues guitar. I began to put songs together. So I did a song called "Beating Hearts," some people call it the drum song,
I see
because
that that's actually one of your featured songs on your yatande.com website.
yeah,
Yeah, you can
yeah,
hear it there. Yes. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and we had a great time putting that together. My daughter, who I was trying to get to listen to my ideas, she could think, yeah, all right, dad. Yeah, yeah, okay, dad. Like I can see I was getting on. So the night that we actually recorded that song, I took a sample and came home with it. And my daughter was stretched across my bed sleeping. And I woke her up. I said, baby, can I play the song for you? She said, Dad, not that crummy drum song again, And I said, well, yeah. So I just said, well, just listen. So I put it on and it began to play. She lifted up her head and she said, Daddy, this is the song? She said, this is the song. She said, oh my God, Dad, this is the song. She was shocked. I was like, yep, this is the song. So that with things like that and all kinds of other things,
Well, but who's the woman singing in that
Ariel,
song?
Ariel Bell. She was one of the. She's the daughter of one of the blue soul singers here in Philadelphia, and Ariel is just amazing. The night that Scott told me he had someone that wanted to sing that song for me,
Mm-hmm.
she came in. I couldn't tell. She had some great big floppy coat on and the hood over her head and some tights, black, all black, with black jump boots. And I'm like, this is the girl, It's like, and so she said hello, and then she began to sing because she had got the lyrics. And when Scott put it on and Ariel began to sing that song, I teared up because she brought it alive. And she's an incredible singer from Good Girl. There was a group in Philadelphia once called Good Girl, and she did the background. So she had a couple other ladies that did some filled in some of the background with her. But Ariel brought that song to a level that was just incredible. And I mean, and Scott turned and looked to me, as you know, towards the end, you hear us clapping, and he's smiling from ear to ear, and he's going, all right, let's start clapping, and we clapped to the song at the end, and she just burned it up. I mean, and I got a chance to put my voice on it at the end of hey, 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 hey.
When you
So
do like a 1 minute intro of the music video that you have too, right in the
yeah,
beginning of it.
yeah. And I just wanted to do something that I'd never done before, and and that's what came out. And someone was saying to me, one of the other artists or from Colorblind Records said, he said, we should take this to Disney. And so did Vicky, one of the ladies I knew. She said, let's try to take this song to Disney. She said, she said, I see a whole thing written about it, but they had their selections, they like it, but it didn't go anywhere. She said, come back and let's try it again. So There it was, but there were quite a few songs in there called "The Water." The Water song was pretty good that I liked.
Well, BMI Music, I see that referenced on the website. So they are your publisher, right? Or one of
Yes,
them?
exactly.
And I want to mention anyone who's listening, right now that because Papa Yatande, you're referencing, folk and blues and jazz. And if people aren't paying attention, they might think that you're creating old timey music. But I mean, that is not true. This is like very modern music, anything I would expect to hear on the radio. And then on your website, yatande.com, you can pick a song, and then on a couple of the feeds, it'll start sampling through all of them. I was really jamming out to Black Rose and Mr.
Oh, Black
Softy there
Rose.
for a while. That's a great music. So it's really worth it to check this out. I was blown away when I heard this, and that's what I was like, you've been holding out on us. I didn't know that you had this. That music like that, it's highly produced from someone who's been in broadcasting for years. You could tell the difference between who kind of recorded in the garage or whatever, right? It's highly produced. I can't believe you haven't mentioned all of this before.
Yeah, yeah. It's so much going on that you kind of forget about talking about one thing because you think people want you to focus and hear and listen to another. I'm so glad that you asked me about the music because it's something that I still want to bring out there. And when I did the interview with the live interview with PBN, they came out to the house. I took them to my house in the Pocono, and I was able to play a couple of chords on the piano, and then turn to begin talking. The guy was just smiling from ear to ear. He said, "Oh my God." He wanted me to do. I must have done like 2 or 3 takes. He said, "Play it exactly the way you play it." I said, "Well, no, this is just improvisation." So I was able to do that, and I just thought it was really, really good. So he said that there may be a possibility. Who knows later on that we can do some of the music that we've done and get it out there. Because when music artists begin falling apart, and I saw the kinds of conditions that people had found themselves into, it kind of it scared me. It kind of backed me up because Lord knows I didn't want to be caught up into something. I certainly didn't want to be caught up into drugs and violence and things like that. But I also didn't want to be caught up into things where people just come and just take your music. They just rip you off, and they go on about it. You have no protection, or what little protection you have, and then whatever they pay you is whatever they want to pay you, and you end up in debt, and then you're trying to pay people back, and it just was something that I thought was not going. I didn't want to have happen to me.
And you're hearing some of these stories from other musicians
Oh
out
God,
there.
and witnessing some of them, especially from the Philly sound, and some of the people I knew out of Brooklyn. Because you begin to meet people, like with that was that song. If you heard, what is the other, Burn, for example,
Mm-hmm.
Burn Baby Burn, was something that I came up off the top of my head, and I put the cellos and everything together with it. And these were guys out of New York. That's the great thing about electronics, because you can share the stuff with other studios that are not, now you don't have to bring people in anymore. And out in Los Angeles, where Scott has moved their Triangle Studios to.
Mm-hmm.
There were cats that were out there that sang on it, and so forth, and it just turned out to be really, really nice. But the video for it that I had in mind that I wanted to do, we never got a chance to do it because it was going to be something really, really nice. The whole song is about somebody getting caught up into something real spiritual but kind of eerie,
Mm.
and it's at night, and it starts off with us down North Philadelphia on the corner of Ninth and Oxford, singing the way we used to sing that doo-wop, and then that's where it comes in, burn baby, that kind of thing. So we were having fun.
So with your sanctuary, the Peristyle Haitian Sanctuary, does music come into play as
Oh,
part of you?
absolutely.
How and when? Like how does that come in?
Um, First, the thing that stunned me, Ross, was when I first, just as a young boy, I think I was about 20. My first trip out of overseas. I was the first one in my family to travel out of the country, and we
Mm,
went to Haiti, and I loved it. Yeah, I mean, I had never seen that many black folks in my life. I was like, my God, and people were so friendly, and so they were very particular about you taking pictures of them. You couldn't do that.
mm.
But in the first, but I snuck and took pictures anyway. You ain't gonna go that far and not come home to have some photo journal to talk about. So, but the first night of the ceremony, my first voodoo ceremony in Haiti in a sanctuary called Le Peristyle, my godfather was Hilaire Michel, began to, they were going to do a service for Ogun. He is the Lord of fire and iron, and his reputation is truth. And like they tell you, if you go to court, you can put your hand on a Bible and you can swear to tell the truth all day.
Right.
But if they give you a block of iron and tell you to put your hand on it and swear to tell the truth, you can be like, if you know that you can't lie, because Ogun is a force of truth, and they know that the consequences of your actions is going to come back on you, and very swiftly. So I'm standing there, and I'm green as you can be. All right, and my wife, she adopted this Haitian fella. Name was Dominique, and Dominique would run it, and I'm standing there, and I'm standing in front of the drummers, and they're sitting there, and they're smiling at me, and I'm smiling at them, and because it's music, it's drums, and I'm like, wow, I've never seen drums like this before. And he's running. He said, "Here, drink this," and it's something red. I said, "Okay." And then he come back and go, "Drink this." It's something yellow. I said, "Okay." He's, "Oh, you gotta drink this." It's something blue. And I'm standing there, like, not even realizing that Dominique is getting me drunk.
You're drinking every color of the rainbow, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
And some of the young ladies that were there who were smiling at me, and I'm smiling at them. This was, of course, before I got married, and they was just as fine as you want to be. And so I'm looking at the drummers, and but I'm noticing my godfather. He's standing there, and he's all dressed and ready, and he keeps looking at his watch.
Okay.
Time is the one thing that is most important to them than you can imagine, being on time. When he looked at his watch for the final time, and he lifted up his asson, which is the instrument you see us shaking, and he pointed to the lead drummer, Ross, I'm talking about thunder and lightning. Boom, boom, and these drums begin to roll, and it shocked me. I didn't expect to get that type of the resonance, the what I didn't know what to expect, and it scared me. And I'm talking about, you've heard the expression scared stiff, and I'm standing there, and I'm like with my mouth open, and I noticed everybody break out into a dance called Yanvalu. And
And you had never seen this dance before?
never, I've
Okay.
never seen any of it. This was very first time. I'm green right off the boat. And one of the guys traveling with me, named Obin from the United States, he says, "Hey, close your mouth."
Oh,
And I was like, and I kind of come out of it, and I try to get it together, because I'm from North Philly, I'm trying to get it cool. I'm trying to get my swag back. And so one of the girls named Geralda, fine little something. She comes over and she decides, come on, and she showed me how to dance. And my life, was blown. So coming back to Philadelphia, I began working with the Americans who were here at the sanctuary, and I began to teach them about not only the drum, but the different patterns of drums, be it Congo, Guinea, Nago, Dahomey, and the different, because I learned, me, I was going to learn everything I could learn,
Hmm.
even the songs, teaching them the correct way to sing the song, the meaning and the interpretations of the song, and of course the dance, because in Africa and in Haiti, one of the things that you're going to learn is there's no drum without song, and there's no song without dance. The trio
Hmm.
is just something that continues to reverberate no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing.
So you were
So
basically introducing the Philadelphia Sanctuary to this.
absolutely. And I was very strict about it. I was quite adamant about getting it right. Just like if you're with jazz musicians or soul music, any kind of music, you don't want to get it kind of like, you want it right on point. You
Hmm.
want it to be what it's supposed to be. No ifs, ands, or but about it. And that's how I was. And but you get a lot of people that hate you because of it, but it didn't matter because it was important for me that we got it right.
So
So
then,
I just
if
did it.
you're teaching everybody this stuff, and maybe you're getting there with your story, and so you can keep on with where you're at. But before you're done, I'm also curious to know when you presented it, in all its glory for the first time, how that turned out with everybody as well, right? So how long did it take you to get everybody up to speed? I mean, you have drummers now here in the States that have to learn how to drum this way and everything else, right?
Right. The the thing that I found a little bit of disappointing is because I came from a family of people. If you brought a musical instrument over my house, if you were a musician, for example,
Mhm.
and you decided you're coming back, so you left your axe at my house down North Philly with my mom and sisters and brothers, bet your bottom dollar when you came back, we were going to be playing that instrument. And you had to play it right, so we put extra effort in tone and music and notations and things like that, phrasing, improv. So when I began to teach at the sanctuary with and first of all learning, because we had it was Mambo's first husband, my wife's first husband. He was a very good and very strong drummer, but he wasn't passionate. So it was something that myself, Bobby Crowder, who was also a drummer from another tradition, and Robert Kenyatta, who played with the Beach Boys, and he played with Wilson Pickett and different ones. He played drums with them. We started conspiring against him because it's one thing to be in a group, but you got somebody who just isn't getting it. They're
Mhm.
just not on point. You know how it is with music, man.
Yep.
It ain't, if it don't pop, it don't work, and it don't work if it can't pop. And then somebody hear it and go, yes, it's nothing like getting somebody who you deliver something and they throw their hands up or their head down or eyes and they go, yeah, then you did something. So what we did was I started teaching them how there are breaks, because there are levels in voodoo music
And we got about
that
4 minutes
goes.
left, so I want to make sure we get all this in.
Okay, there are breaks in voodoo music that takes you to different heights, and in getting heights, you got to make sure that you
Mm.
get these breaks. So I taught Kenyatta and Bobby Crowder about the breaks. So when I hear the break in the song, we would go in, that thing, and he would look at us and be kind of shocked. But even today, Ross, I'm still teaching that. I want so much to go into the classrooms at the university. I did get my bachelor's from New York University, Clive. The yellow brick, and I want very much to go in. I don't care if they let me do it for free. If I have to do it for free, I will. But I want to begin to teach the origins of drum, dance, and song.
So when you finally, so did you give sort of an inaugural or first presentation to your, to your sanctuary for like everybody to come? Like, did you ever finally get there so everyone could hear all of this?
Yeah, I mean, we came in. We had to kind of drum on the run, if you expression, because my wife was quite aggressive and she was moving on and on, and so I had to get people, and we struggled with some we couldn't use, though no matter how enthusiastic they were, they just didn't have the talent, and it I did notice that the same way in soul music or jazz, you may be passionate about it, but maybe you should be somebody listening to the music and feeling it rather than trying to play it until you come up to the point of where you can express exactly what the music should be saying, if that makes sense.
It does, in a more jovial manner. My father says his contribution to singing and music is that he does not do it. That's a joke he says about himself, right? Sometimes it's better listening. So, all these conversations that we have, I'm learning more every time we speak. And for everyone listening, I hope that you are too. In some religions, there seems to be, can be much more limited in what people show up for. But in many of them, a sense of community is one of them. And everyone seems to celebrate in their own way. If somebody was in the Philadelphia area and they were looking to build on their community, and with just another minute left, so I'm going to kind of hold you to that, but what would somebody find if they came to you and wanted to start participating in the Le Peristyle Haitian Sanctuary?
The first thing they're going to find is a history lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Second is a lesson about what it is all about. Third, a lesson on the pantheons of forces of Loa, and then fourth, singing the song and interpreting. I'd never believed in someone singing or making a prayer and in a foreign language or tongue, and you can express what it actually means. So I'm going to teach you in depth every aspect. When you walk out of my class, you're going to know, wow, you learn something.
It's great. So anyone who wants to look this up, there's plenty of places to find more information on George Turnage here, Papa Yatande, not to the first of which, yatande.com,
Yes.
YANTADE.com, correct? And then there's also the Le Peristyle Haitian Sanctuary. Go ahead and type that into Google. It'll find it for you in case you miss a letter or two.
Yeah.
And so thank you very much for joining us again, Papa Yatande. It's a pleasure as always. And I always have to say, you're always welcome back on the show whenever you'd like.
I look forward to our next conversation.
Me
Much
too.
Love to you.
And I hope all of you too out there listening to us enjoyed our time as well. I'm Ross Marasso. Until next time.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.